What is one thing that you for sure should not do in the pipeline?
For sure should not do in the pipeline. So we're gonna go all the way back, right? Like we're gonna go all the way back to when you're talking to your recruiter and you're in depth and whatever. Guys, girls, non-defined people that are going in aspect war. Listen, there is no reason to start talking like you're in the military when you're in the DEP program. So just don't do it. There's no reason to start like speaking in military. Hey, I'll be in at 0700 sharp in order to get the PCIs and PCC. Like, take it easy, guy. You're at McDonald's, right? Like, you don't need to start talking. And by the way, when you're in the military, that's really annoying. When people talk in like consistent military speak, it's cringy. Like, there are times where you need to use the language and understand terminology, but just don't do it too early. There's no reason. And then you really don't need to do it outside of work. There's a lot of times where I'll text somebody and somebody will write back, they'll be like, check Roger, big hoo-yah. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to throw my phone in the ocean. Because that was it's terrible. It's just annoying. And it makes
some of that is being facetious, though, at least depending on who you're talking to.
Well, listen, I love nothing more than a good sarcastic hoo-yah. That's a way to tell, like, if I really hate you at work, if I really do not like interacting with you, I will call you by your full rank every single time I talk to you. That is a sure indicator. Take it easy, Chief Master Sergeant Petrus. That's just, we were talking about pipeline stories earlier, but there was this one gunnery sergeant that worked at dive school. He worked there forever as Gunny Torres. And he would tell the most ridiculous stories. For whatever reason, he'd wear short shorts and he would he would brief the class by putting his leg up on like the first desk. So you're like, you got like a view of home base there. But he would ask you a question. He'd be like, yeah, hoo-yah, Gunny. And he'd be like, is that a hoo-yah yes? Is that a hoo-yah no? Is that a hoo-yah go F myself? What kind of hoo-yah was that? And you'd just be like, ugh. But anyway, so that would be my initial don't start talking in military speak before you need to. And then further on in your career and in the pipeline, you don't need to do it then either. You can just speak in plain language. It's way more efficient.
Jeez, we start off with like the harsh judgment right off the like. Tell us who's talks like this, Aaron. Like we need names because apparently this
so bad. We get DMs and people are like, "Hoo-yah, senior master sergeant." I'm like, I'm on Instagram, dog. I was just watching a cat video. Like, we don't need to include like my government name and title in this thing. Like, I'm just sitting here. Like, I just watched Bert Kreischer say somebody had a fat mom referring to their girlfriend. Like, it's not that serious.
But also don't forget your place where you're at, and who you're talking to as you go through the process. But there's also like the folks on Instagram that hit me up. They're like, "Hey, bud," and like depending on my mood, I'm like, "I'm not your bud. You can call me Trent." But like, let's not get too informal, huh? Like, well, strike the right balance.
I think that's a downfall of podcasts, though. Too is that you do. I mean, how many people in the world think that they have a personal relationship with Joe Rogan?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it gets scary too. It gets scary when because if we were females, like that's where these dudes that, I was just watching one of my friends that she has a big following. She is an attractive female on Instagram, and no kidding, she just posted a story yesterday, something to the effect, and she showed the DMs. Like, this guy had been like hitting her up for like weeks, months, years, I don't know, like, oh, hey, how are you? Like, he thinks he knows that chick. Like, he doesn't think he's shooting a shot. Yeah. He's like, oh, what you said was so hilarious, we would totally get along. Like, dude, that's weird. That's just a weird thing that we live in. We've seen it too, is like somebody will DM us or they'll leave a comment and our first reaction is like, hey, do I know you? Like, why are you talking to me like that? Like, if we were in a bar, you wouldn't just hop up and be like, you're stupid.
Dude, well, the other day I got a message, the first message that someone ever sent me, and it was like, hey, I would like to hop on like a one-on-one video chat with you to like talk through some of my questions. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, hey, let me just take some time out of my day to like talk to someone that I've never met. I don't know who you are, and you hit me up on Instagram. It's weird.
I'm sliding into your DMs, homie. You got it.
Piles of dudes.
It's that hair.
Piles of dudes. That's my favorite thing ever. You guys must have so many people slide into your DMs. Yeah, it's all dudes. It's all 13 to 25-year-old dudes. That's what it is.
And let me just say, the vast majority of them are wonderful. It's just every once in a while you get that weird that's like, I deserve like a one-on-one mentorship session right now. Like, do you have time to hop on a call? It's like, I don't have time for that. No,
I don't have time for my kids, my dude.
Well, I mean, I think that's actually a good point of one of the do's and don'ts, right? Is understand the community you're going into, and like, we are not here. And when I say we, I don't mean like one's ready. I mean, the cadre. Yes, they are there for you to train, select, assess, and all that kind of stuff. But they are also there for the career field. As a career field, we have put them there in place to help create and train the next generation. That's what they owe you. They don't owe you anything else. Well, they owe you mentorship and stuff like that too, but that's it. They don't owe you favors. I don't know, Trent, you probably disagree with that, but like, I don't know, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I saw the wince. Like,
Trent's gonna. I love this because you can see Trent, like, and he's gonna do the same thing that he just said. Is we're gonna come up with a don't, and we're gonna be solid. All of us are gonna be like, yeah, don't do that. And then Trent's gonna go, well, I mean, maybe you do, because like he's gonna find a way to play both sides of the fence. That way, he always comes out on top.
That's what I do. O is a strong word for mentorship. You know what I mean?
Okay. Should
you hit him on semantics?
Should
no. Like, I don't know.
Words have meanings. Words have meanings. Trent, okay. Say it. Say words have meanings.
No. I'm sorry, Jared.
No, but you get what I'm saying. Like the expectation, like just randomly trying to video call you on Instagram, right?
Yeah,
I've gotten phone call because I am wild dingo with my freaking phone number, right? Is I've gotten calls. I've just gotten random calls. And I'm like, oh, I don't recognize that number. And I pick it up. I almost entirely pick up my phone, no matter what, if it's ringing. And all of a sudden it's like, hey man, who is this? Oh, well, I'm like, oh man,
it's Timmy from Ohio.
Yeah, I really got to remove my phone number from my signature block. Like,
eesh, bro. Eesh, my bad.
Yeah, but understand the community you're going in. Yes, like for us, we are here to help you, but at the same time, like those instructors out there, they have a job to do. They are focused. Their concern is the career field and making sure that you are assessed, selected, and trained for the career field. So don't assume that you're buddy. At the same time, don't assume that. Okay, so another don't would be, don't take every smoke session or every course correction so personal. It is. Mm-hmm. It is not personal. They are there to do a job, and they are there to get you where you need to be. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be willing to bet 5 minutes after a freaking smoke session, they've forgotten about it. When you're sitting there dwelling on it in your brain, like, oh my God. Sorry, Senior Siegmiller must think I'm a freaking, an idiot, and oh man, I'm such a piece of shit and stuff like that.
He does think that. Just to get that out there, he does think that about everybody. But you're totally right, dude. Like we would, at Kirtland, we would smoke the living crap out of and it would be, fire and brimstone, and this is terrible, and you got to course correct, and like hey, you got to course correct. You got to do what it is that we need you to do. But we would walk into the team room and we wouldn't even talk about that. We would go talk about whatever else that we were talking. Another don't is like, don't expect the instructors that you have or the cadre that you have when you graduate. You're not going to become like there's not going to be like the gladiator handshake where they're like, I knew you could do it. Strength and honor, brother. Welcome to the career field. Like they're there to do a job. They're there to graduate, whatever. And you're going to make personal relationships with the instructors that you go. But it's remarkably different now than it used to be back in the day. When we graduated the pipelines, or when you graduated to school, there was a way bigger division between instructors and the student staff, or, the student population, and then the instructors. You almost revered the instructors. Like, it was a weird thing. The first time that I ever worked with somebody that was an instructor of mine in the pipeline, it was a really weird standoffish sort of thing. Like, hey man, how are you? And they were like, oh, I'm good. Everything's great. Yeah. It was the first time that you're like, oh wait, maybe they're just like regular people that have to do a job, and maybe they don't remember every single thing that I've ever done in my entire life.
But in that pipeline, they are gods.
Yeah. As close as they're going to get, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. You go back to an STS and have guys walking up to you being like, remember this one time? It's like, no, I have no. You were a face. You were a shaved head in a sea of shaved heads, in a Groundhog Day environment, my guy. Like I don't remember that one time that you failed something or I yelled at you.
Yeah, I was working Stand-Eval and one of the new Jays checked in and they were just like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Sergeant Lovo?" I was like, "Hey, nothing, man." I was like, "Hey, checking you in here. I'll sign your little in processing checklist. That's cool." And he's like, "Yeah, awesome. How have things been?" And I'm like, good. And he's like, "Okay, yeah." He's like, "So do you remember when you were instructor of mounted curl?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry, no, man, I didn't. I had no idea who you are, but I'm glad you made it. Welcome to the 2-2."